What you allow in relationships is a reflection of your relationship with yourself. There's a reason why so many of us are malnourished in our relationships. I just saw a video yesterday of a young woman talking about how she just rather be alone. I've seen this type of content on Substack too, and this is not actually healthy. It's not how humans are supposed to be. Human connection is quite literally everything. Human connection, someone created this notebook that I wrote in. There were people who decided to talk and come up with the idea of the laptop. Human connection is everything. We need each other. And so if you're feeling malnourished in relationships, it's a reflection of you. What in yourself you might be battling that you're not willing to give up on, that you really need to. And if you are feeling nourished, amen to that. And we're going to talk about how you can feel nourished and also how you might be feeling malnourished and what to do about it. Let's start with some nourished. All right. Numero uno, to feel nourished in your relationships, you are going to need reassurance plus action. Reassurance means that if you bring something up to someone, they reassure you that you're valid in your thoughts, that you're loved, that you're cared for by them, and then they take action to show you that. I'm someone who my attachment style depends on you. It depends on our relationship with each other, right? If I know how close we are, I know the type of person you are, I can have a really lax attachment style or secure attachment style. Versus if you're one of my friends and I don't see you often, but you're still in my heart, you're still someone that I think about. My attachment style might be a little more anxious if I send a text and there's no response. So for me, being reassured and having action taken is something that makes me feel nourished in relationships when it comes to those where I might have a little bit more of an anxious attachment style and need a little bit more from a person. One of my friends is like my sister, but we don't talk that much anymore. And in this season of our lives, I've been the one who's been initiating contact over and over again. And for me, that's very hard. I'm not someone who does that, but because I care about her and our friendship so much, I'm able to do that. I'm able to carry that weight in this season of our friendship. And there was a season where it was actually her doing that. And I didn't realize until I was in this position that I'm currently in, where I'm the one carrying this weight. She was the one that was constantly visiting me, making sure that our relationship was kept alive. And I took that for granted a little bit because that's my sis. Like, that's just how I thought it would be. That's how our relationship is. But now that I've matured and the tables have turned, I'm able to carry that same weight. Before, if the tables had turned, I would not have carried that same weight. And it's because the relationship with myself has changed. I know that with me, I go through different seasons and then I need different parts of myself to come out. There might be a season where I need my masculine energy to take over and put in some work. There might be seasons where I need to rest and just chill. And so, since I know that about myself and I can give myself grace, I'm able to give my friend the same grace. And that's why I'm able to feel nourished in this friendship. And guess what? I told her, I said, you didn't respond to my message. I don't have the same attachment style as you, I can get anxious. And she told me, no, Kira, no, like I'll make sure that I start reaching out and keeping that line between us. And I was like, okay, that was the reassurance that I needed. Now the action will come. And so feeling nourished in relationships, you're going to have to be vulnerable about what you're feeling. And then you're going to have to tell the people that you love how you feel. And see what happens from there, right? You should be receiving that reassurance. You should be receiving that action being taken, not just words. And if you don't experience that, check in with yourself. Are you a workaholic? Do you give yourself no time to honor yourself in whatever season you're in? That could be the problem. And so you're not able to have that reflection, or you are having that reflection in your relationships. And so you might feel malnourished. Let's go on to numero dos, which is actually malnourished. When you're feeling malnourished in relationships, think about when something is hot and cold. If you're receiving hot and cold in a relationship, you're going to feel malnourished. And in fact, hot and cold reminds you of what? A fever. When you're having a fever, you are sick, deeply ill. So think about that in relationships. That hot and cold, it's not good, I'll say long term. Maybe I could see hot and cold being useful in the beginning of a romantic relationship where you might be trying to bring that person in your life. A little hot and cold can work on certain type of people, but if it's consistent, that's gonna make you feel malnourished because you're gonna feel confused. You're gonna be like, does this person like me or do they not? They like me, then they don't like me. They love me, now they don't love me. And that messes with your head and your mind, and it makes you feel malnourished in your relationships. When I was actually in a romantic relationship, I noticed that there would be a lot of hot and cold as far as verbal talk. So there would be things where they might talk about my appearance and then they would call me beautiful. They might say that I was stupid and then tell me I'm one of the smartest people that they've ever met. And so this hot and cold got me confused. Or they might say something that is called negging. If you don't know what negging is, negging, I'm gonna give you an example. Um, an example would be if a guy's like, "Oh, you should come to the gym with me. You're getting a little big, but I like how that booty is getting fat." It's like, are you complimenting me or are you trying to put me down? It's weird. It's like a mental psychological game that can be played that nobody want to play that. And so that can really make you feel malnourished. And when it comes to your relationship with yourself, you have to think, am I getting the excitement from my life that I truly desire? Because when something's hot and cold, it makes you feel so excited because there's like a dopamine when it's hot, and then when it's cold, it crashes, and now you're craving that dopamine hit again. So this can be related to how dopamine is your relationship with dopamine in your current life. Are you in need of some dopamine or not? Are you doing those things that get you the proper dopamine that's actually healthy for you, not scrolling, not being in hot and cold relationships, but things like going to the gym, which boosts your endorphins and your dopamine, or doing a coloring book, or practicing an instrument that you play that gives you these strong positive brain chemicals and it's giving you that excitement in your life. If someone tries to come in and you're actually feeling excited in your life and they're giving you hot and cold, you'll be able to see right through that and you'll be like, actually, this doesn't feel good for me because I know how good I feel in my life. That's what I desire for someone else to bring in. If they're going to contribute anything, I don't need it to be hot and cold where it makes me feel malnourished and it actually takes away from my life. This is another reason why a lot of people might have friends who you can feel like you're a sidekick in their life. That's a trope that, ooh, let's really talk about it because I have gone through that where I have been like a sidekick and not the main character in my own life. I was just playing a role, I feel like, in somebody else's life. And usually this happens in relationships where there's like, for lack of better words or terms, masochists and sadists, I believe, or the person who you're being a sidekick for is almost narcissistic, and you're someone who thinks that you deserve abuse. And so you might find yourself in relationships where you are not nourished, but it's giving you a sense of excitement because in a way you are depending on this person for your excitement, whether that be them leading you into spaces that you feel good in, that you don't think you can get in yourself, or whether that be you depending on them for confidence. They might boost you up and say, "Oh, you look super good," or they could tear you down and say, "Actually, I don't like that outfit." Think about Mean Girls, like Regina George type of vibes, where you might be depending on them for your confidence and to get you out of feeling insecure. But actually, that's something that you have to do for yourself, and it can be reflected in those people that come into your life. And also, the thing about people coming into your life is that you cannot really control that. You can't control the people coming in, but you can definitely filter that. So I'm not going to say that your relationship with yourself will determine who you attract because you can attract anybody. If you're an attractive person, you're going to attract people who are ugly, people who are cute, people who are funny. Like you're just going to attract all different types of people, but it's up to you to filter through them depending on the type of nourishment that you need in your relationships. Let's move on to número tres. And I'm currently watching a telenovela on Netflix. So the Spanish is just coming out. Yo no sé. Yo no sé. Pero número tres. And let's go back to nourishment. So to feel nourished in your relationships is going to require some acceptance and openness. Oh, I feel safe just saying that because I'm thinking of someone in specific who I feel safe with because I feel accepted by them and I experience being open with them. Like I feel like I can just say things that are on my heart and on my mind and they will accept me for it and vice versa. Like whatever comes up for them, I am open to that. And I think it's taken me a while to get to this place, but I've always been a pretty open-minded person and I've always been super excited to speak with people who we can talk about anything and go deep on it because we're both open. And it's like even if we disagree, we can disagree respectfully and we can disagree in a fun way where we're really talking about it. Like we're really just talking about it. And so I have a friend who I feel this deeply with, another one of my sisters, and it feels like we could talk about anything. Like, and it doesn't matter how long we've spent time apart. When we come back together, it doesn't feel like it. Like we can look at each other and no time has passed. You don't even realize how much time has passed. Um, and then you can talk to these types of people who you feel accepted by and who are open-minded about anything, right? You have stories to tell, you can tell them, and they will listen to you. Another thing about having a nurse relationship where you feel open is that you should be able to monologue for a long time and they need to be able to listen and vice versa. So like they need to be able to monologue for a long time and then you can listen. If you're in a relationship or friendship with people where you cannot monologue. And what I mean by monologue is basically what I'm doing with y'all. Feel free to speak back to me. All right. Feel free to always speak back to me and chime in. I can't hear you, but go ahead and comment and I'll be able to see it. But monologue is basically when you are able to talk for a really long time. You can talk for a really, really long time and someone is able to listen to you. And then when you're done talking, they have listened, so they're able to speak back to certain points that you have mentioned. And vice versa. They're able to speak to you for a really long time and you're dialed in, you're tuned in, and you're listening. And then you have points based on what they said that you can come back to them on. And then also, you should be able to bounce off of each other. It doesn't always have to be like a super long monologue, but it can be like good chunk of time talking. You take a good chunk of time talking. They take it. Like it's just a good back and forth, good conversation. And that requires openness. If you are someone who is not open with yourself, you don't allow yourself certain freedoms, certain things, you don't accept the shadow side of yourself. Let's get into acceptance. If you don't accept this shadow side of yourself, it's going to be hard to have those relationships where you feel open and accepted because you're not going to be able to talk about it with them until you open up with yourself. And you can do this through journaling. Journal like nobody will ever read it. Journal like you can be the most rawest version of whatever you need to say about how you feel. And then also movement and dancing, somatic movement and shaking can help you release things to help you open up and get to a space where you have accepted yourself. And what I mean by shadow, if you don't know what that is, it's basically those things that you don't like about yourself or that you might be ashamed of that you try to push down. You try to push them down. You try not to um bring them up because of what other people might think. Maybe it's a bad situation that you went through that's made you a certain way and you don't really like to think about it. But the thing about the shadow is that it's always there and it's right there next to you and it's showing. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, it's there. But the sooner you acknowledge it, the more comfortable you're gonna feel with yourself. I would like to share a little shadow work that I've done with y'all that's like safe for me, that feels safe for me to share. So let me think about it. I think for me, recently, it's been this topic of relationships and friendships for me. Something that I've been really feeling shame around is my social life because I have had a long period of isolation and that has been detrimental to my social life. And it feels like a point of shame because it seems like there's so many people who don't have these problems, right? Like I have other friends who don't have these problems. And to me, it's like I've been friends with these people for a really long time, but I haven't really been able to make new friendships that feel truly nourishing yet. And it feels shameful because I understand how important human connection really is. And I understand how that is important for our health and for our longevity. And those things are important to me. So it's almost like me not feeling healthy in this area can make me feel like I'm not healthy. But the thing about being healthy, period, is you don't have to reach a certain state to be healthy. Being healthy is about your pursuit of healing. Your pursuit in healing is actually the healing. And it has to be a pursuit that feels good for you. It's a little bit challenging, but it's not tearing you apart. So for me, it's opening up about how I'm rebuilding my social life, how I'm putting myself out there, how I feel ashamed. Like I'm telling people when I talk to them that, yeah, I have experienced social anxiety and I will cut people off and all these things that I'm genuinely like healing from, getting rid of. So that's some shadow work that I'm doing. And because I'm doing that shadow work, I've accepted it and I've been able to open myself up to people about it. And I'm actually feeling like I'm making friends. I joined a community and I'm feeling like, all right, I'm making friends with these people. A couple days ago, I was able to open up about this to someone, and they said that they kind of feel the same way, not completely, but kind of feel the same way. And I was like, well, you seem so outgoing. And they were like, you'd be surprised. And it's crazy because you never know what someone else can relate with you on. You just have to be open enough to share. That feels nourishing in your relationships. It's very malnourishing to put a face on, put a mask on. Mask. All right, sorry. That song just came to my head, and I'm not sorry actually. But put that mask on. It's not fun. It's not fun. It doesn't feel good, and you're not able to connect. You're not able to connect. And you might be able to meet somebody who sees that shadow in you. They went through it, or they've never gone through it. So they're like, oh, that's nothing. That feels good too. That feels good too. It's like this big old problem that's so big to me is nothing to you. I like that. I like that. I like that because it makes it feel smaller. It's like, oh, this doesn't bother you. This is not something everybody deals with, then I can get through it too. All right, let's move on to número cuatro. Okay, okay. Now this one is malnourished. All right. Feeling malnourished in relationships can be in relation to being in a relationship with someone who is two-faced. This is an easy reflection point. If you're looking at your relationship with yourself, if you're two-faced, you'll probably accept people into your life who are two-faced. That filter that you have, that subconscious filter, will think that that's okay for someone else to bring to you because you're already doing it. So when it comes to being in a relationship with two-faced people, it sucks because they're going to be one way with you, and then they might talk about you behind your back. And then you might know that. And then it brings drama. And it's like, who wants the drama, y'all? Who wants the drama? Or it could be that you might have experienced negative people or negative relationships so much that you think the two-faced is normal. You think not everybody likes everybody all the way. Well, which is kind of true, but it's not like you can like it's about the way that that's expressed and how close you are to someone whom depending on how much they like you or don't like you. So there was this one time, y'all, back in the day when I was partying and stuff. So I went out with a group of friends and we went to this bar, and I was not the best at talking and flirting with guys trivially. That's not something I do. I'm not here to have sex. Like, I'm not here to do none of that. So I felt like when I go to a bar and I'm talking to a guy and he's buying me a drink, that's his intention with me. That's not my intention with him. I don't care for the drink. Like, I don't want you to buy me a drink that bad. But I had friends who were good at this. Good. They were good at it, okay? Like they could get us all drinks. It's like you turn around for 1 second, you turn back around, she got three shots in her hand. You're like, whoa, what's going on? Like, where did these shots come from? You look up, oh, it's a dude next to her. It's like he just ended up buying everybody shots. How did they do it? I don't know. But I was in one of these situations. And so we enter the bar, and it's like the friends just easily find a target and go at it. Personally, I'm like, ooh, what do I do? I'm just standing next to my friends, got my little drink, um, and just chilling, like partying. And also, I wasn't sure like about social cues in these settings. Like, when do I leave? Do I stay? Like, do you feel safe? And so there was this one time that I'm talking about. I'm like standing there with my drink, and my friend is talking to this guy. They're whispering in each other's ears. And then the guy taps me on the shoulder and he's like, "Do you know what she just said?" I'm like, "What? What?" Because, I'm just like, "What? What did she just say?" And he looks at me, he says, "She just told me that you need to get lost." And I was like, wow, like that hurt my heart. I was like, my friend is over here talking to a guy she just met about me, who she's known for years, saying that I need to get lost. Whatever her reasons were for doing that, the fact that that guy told me was crazy. And he was like, "That's not your friend." Like, and it's crazy because how easily guys can see this in like, women friendships. They will be like, "That's not your friend." Because I've heard other people tell me I've had the guy who was in a relationship at the time told me that too about this person. Like, "That's not your friend. These girls are not your friends." And this random guy at a bar told me that. Like, he was like, "She just told me that you need to get lost. That's really your friend? Like, you gonna, like, that's your friend?" And I was just like, yeah. It's like, wow, yeah, that's my friend. I know how she is. I know she's like that. I know she's like that. And when you're an accepting type of person, you can accept all these parts of people. Doesn't mean it's healthy. Doesn't mean that that's your friend. Like they were telling me that's not your friend. And what's crazy, the inspiration for today's video is because I was thinking about this situation because the um idea of friendship and community and relationship has been on my mind. It's one of my main focuses right now. Yesterday's video was about focus, right? Feeding your focus muscle. I will link that in the description so that you can learn how to focus and what to use to increase your strength when it comes to focus. Because what you focus on literally is what changes your life and shows you your life. Your focus is your life. And I'll link that. It'll be under your next watch. So I'm thinking about friendships and community because that's one of my focuses right now. And that situation came up, and I was like, "Dang, girl, what are you doing?" Later yesterday night, I get a text from this person. I'm like, okay, that's confirmation that I need to talk about this because I was almost a little bit ashamed to talk about that too. Like, I've stayed in relationships with people who have done horrible things to me. And it's because I was doing horrible things to myself and I thought it was okay. I was two-faced with myself. I might have been two-faced with other people. I was toxic. I was two-faced with God. Whew. Oh Lord. I was two-faced with God. Like, I'm over here reading my Bible and I'm also getting drunk, smoking weed, dealing with guys I don't need to be dealing with friends I don't need to be dealing with. I'm drunk praying for safety, which is crazy. I'm drunk rebuking the way that my friends are acting because I can see the spirits taking over their bodies. Mind you, that's why alcohol is called spirits. Yeah, yeah. The spirits taking over your body when you're drinking spirits. And I could see the spirits taking over my friend's body. I'd be like, "I'll rebuke you in the mighty name of Jesus." Drunk. And it's like, I was two-faced. Of course, I'm going to accept two-faced people in my life. Like, we the same, birds of a feather flock together. But that was very malnourishing. Looking back, and the thing about malnourishment is it might be the nourishment that you need in your season, doesn't mean it's not hurting you. That was very malnourishing for me. But I stayed in those friendships for a while. It took me a while to really like break free and say, "Nah, I'm going all the way. I'm going all the way." And it's really took my relationship with God strengthening to have the strength to be like, no. And I was really thinking about responding to that text, but it's just like sometimes things happen that you don't need to give a response to. Like you don't have to respond to every text. I'm someone who f feels guilty about that. Like I feel guilty. Do I text this person back or not? I decided not. I decided not because I'm so focused right now. I don't want to go backwards, and I don't have the energy to play like I miss somebody. Like, even though I might miss our relationship, I don't miss it that much. I'm focused. All right. I'm focused. I might wish you a happy birthday next year. But let's move on to número cinco, which is actually the last one. And we're going to end on the note of nourishment. Okay. This is how you're going to feel nourished in your relationships. Relishing in fun and shared values. And this is my favorite. When you find a friend who is fun and they share the same values as you could be the most goofy type of person with them, especially as an introvert who is not always able to be the most goofiest version of themselves in front of everybody. When you find those people who you can be goofy with and say whatever comes to your mind and they share the same values as you're gonna feel so nourished in that relationship. So one of my biggest values is adventure. And with adventure, a lot of time comes fun and at least laughs, right? It's high stakes adventure. I like high stakes for me. Okay. I just like the thrill. I like just doing crazy stuff that makes no sense. And when I find people who are down with me to do that, it is like, it is like, chill. It feels so good. It feels so good when you're able to say something crazy, like, yo, do you think we should crash this party right now, or do you think that we should go upstairs in this museum where this says it's locked and enter the room? And they're like, yes. Or if they something say something crazy, like, should we hop on stage and dance? And you have to be like, yes, because like it's your value as well. That is so nourishing. And that's how memories are created. I actually have a video that I made sure to put in my favorites because I wanted to show y'all. Um, I had a friend who, and I spoke about this recently too on one of my videos. I'm posting every day, so it's kind of hard to remember, but I posted about how I lost one of my best friends, like one of the friends that made life feel so good, and it was my fault. And I'm healing from that, which is a big reason why I also have these social problems because I had to forgive myself and bring myself out of isolation and trust myself to be someone who is nourishing in relationships because I want to nourish people just as much as they nourish me in friendship. And so this is actually with that friend who I talked about, who I lost, RIP to our friendship, but I still love her dearly. Um, period. And so there's this one time that we were bored. We were both not the most clubby type of person, party type of people. I already told y'all how I was kind of in those environments. Like I went mostly to hang with my friends. Maybe if there was a cute guy that I liked there or cute guys that I liked there or were talking to, I would be there to kind of entertain that. But mainly like to have a good time with friends. And honestly, I didn't love it. Like I didn't love to party too much. So me and my friends shared that value. Like we were preferred to just do more fun stuff than put on a performance because that's how the clubs are today. Clubs and bars, you put on a performance when you go out. And so there was this one night, Friday night or Saturday night, one weekend, we were hanging out and we knew everybody was outside. Okay, we knew everybody was outside in the clubs. And we had our people who we would always kind of talk about when we saw them, whether it was guys that we knew, or we're in a crew that like we would just talk. We had nicknames for people and stuff. And so we were like, okay, let's go to one of the clubs. Like we would drive around. We were crazy. Okay. She would drive around because I was passenger princess. And One night we seen a line outside and we were like, yo, let's walk past the line and see who's in the line. And so we were not dressed for an outing of sorts. So we decided to wrap our heads. It was winter. We decided to wrap our heads in scarves, almost like a hijab, where you could only see our eyes, so that when we walked past the line, they would not know who we were. If we saw somebody that we knew, they would not know who we were. And we just wanted to see and go back to the car and be like, yo, you see this, that, and that. Like we were just young, having fun, being silly. And we went and we did that. And we had our scarves on. And mind you, it if those people, if we knew those people, they knew who we were because they knew we were friends. And it didn't matter that we had the scarves on our head. Like they could probably guess who we were by our eyes. And because I feel like as a pair, we would have been recognizable because I'm short, she was tall, just silly stuff that we would do. If I can find the video. Mm, I put it in my favorites so that it would be easy for me to find. Oh, there it is. Yay. For her safety. And just cause like I'm not gonna show her, I'm gonna show me and what we looked like. Like we were just silly, but that was fun. That was an adventure that we were on. So we both did that. Like we put our scarves on so you could just see our eyes, crazy, walk past the line. But we had those shared values. We had that shared fun. We were both down to do crazy, silly things, um, many adventures. And what's interesting to me as I've gone through this, and also how that before I get into that, but how that relates to yourself is, are you allowing yourself to have fun, to dream up things, to be imaginative and have ideas? If you are just living a mundane life and you're not allowing yourself to go on an adventure, to go on a walk and get lost in the wherever you're walking, to walk somewhere you don't know where you are, or a new place, and go into stores and shops that you like, are you adventurous or whatever your value is? I'm speaking from my current value. But whatever that is, like if you're someone who loves literature and writing, are you creating stories? I think this feeling nourished in this way of sharing values and relishing in fun, it's more about what you find fun and how you spend your time. And what are you creating? Are you creating whatever it is? Are you creating a space for yourself to write, to read, if that's what you love? Then you will be able to connect with someone on that, and the adventures are endless. And what I'm finding as I go through this nourished list is that the people that I feel nourished by and I felt nourished by in the past in relationships, they click all the boxes, really. Like they would reassure me, take action, they would accept me, and we would have openness in our friendships and relationships, and we would share values and have fun together. The nourishing category is overlapping. The malnourished category is overlapping too. The thing about the malnourished category, um, too, is that, and I think in both categories, even if you, for example, don't know if your friend is two-faced, like if they're talking about you behind your back. So in the example I used, if I didn't know that the friend that I had told that guy to tell me that I need to get lost, if he didn't tell me that, it would be something that I still felt. I would be questioning, and you can feel that energy. When you're being malnourished, you can feel that malnourishment. So it doesn't have to be a specific incident. or something that blatantly happens where you're like, oh, I'm being malnourished, you will feel malnourished. Your soul, your spirit won't feel good. And on the nourishing side, you will feel nourished, even if it's the beginning of a friendship and you don't really know how deep you might be able to get with this person, or if they share the same values as you, or if they're even a person to offer reassurance verbally, or if it might be just action. Like, you don't know per se, but you will feel it still. Like, you'll feel safe. A nourished relationship will make you feel safe and secure. A malnourished relationship will not make you feel safe. You'll feel anxious. And so currently, as I'm building this, and as I mentioned with my shadow side, pushing down the fact that my social life has been sucking, as I'm rebuilding my social life, these are some things that I am doing, a little checklist to make sure that I feel nourished as I go forward. Because I've been through so many friendships and relationships, as you probably have as well, it's important to, when you're moving forward, to be very intentional. Why make the same mistakes that you've made? You made them for a reason. You made them to learn and not do them again. So let's not do them again. Make sure that we have nourishing relationships moving forward. That's what life is too short for. I mean, I don't know if life is short or long, whatever. But life is too much of a gift to waste on being in malnourished relationships. So as I'm rebuilding, I'm checking in with how I feel with people. If I don't feel safe, I don't know. I don't know. Like, if I don't feel safe, it's better to turn around. I'm thinking about my relationship with myself, right? If I'm walking somewhere and suddenly I get a feeling where I don't feel safe going in that direction, it's better for me to turn around and not find out what my spirit is not feeling safe from. A value that I do have is curiosity, which sometimes can get me in trouble. Curiosity killed the cat, right? It can get me in trouble. So there will be times where I feel a little bit anxious and like a little bit of weirdness inside, and I might keep going that direction just to see, and then I'll see it and I'll turn around and run away. So that's something I gotta work on now as I'm rebuilding my friendships. Like, am I going to, feel a little bit unsafe? Am I gonna see what's making me feel unsafe about this person and turn around? Or am I gonna feel unsafe about this person or with this person and decide, actually, I'm not even gonna go for it? I'm kind of thinking about a specific situation right now. I'll figure it out. All right, next. The next thing I'm doing is and this kind of bounces off of the first point, is I'm giving a chance and being open-minded, right? Because, for example, if someone were to feel unsafe and anxious with me, I might want a chance to prove them wrong. Whatever that initial feeling might be, it might just be because we haven't spent enough time together to really see what's that, seed that can be planted and like a beautiful friendship tree can grow from. So I'm being open-minded and I'm giving a chance, but I might just limit my chances to one. Like, I don't feel like giving the chance after, like, I've done that. You get multiple chances if you're in my life. If we develop something deep enough, but if it's still early, the multiple chances type of vibe, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And then lastly, and this is building off of that too. I'm closing the door where I feel malnourished after a character trait is established. Right? So say, you know, checking in with how I feel with people, I'm giving them a chance, and then a character trait is established, like I find out why I might feel this way with this person. I'm closing the door. I don't feel nourished here. I'm closing the door. And it might take a while for someone to establish a character trait because I think that we're not perfect, right? People make mistakes, and it's okay to forgive them, especially when they apologize. Jesus talks about forgiveness, like forgive your brother 7 times 7, or however many times you're supposed to forgive, basically indefinite. Well, I don't know about indefinite. He didn't, Jesus didn't say indefinite, but many times you forgive, you forgive, you forgive. But once that character trait is established, toodaloo, toodaloo, because I'm not here to change anyone. If that's who you are, I love you for who you are. Be you. Be who you are. You are special. God made you special. If it's something I don't desire to deal with, I'm leaving and the door is being shut. Be you. Just be you over there. Because you can't be you over here. Cannot sit with me. You cannot sit with me. So this is how you can feel nourished in your relationships. I pray that as a generation we can heal. Look at that muscle. I pray that as a generation we can heal from what technology has done to our relationships. I think a big part of it is that because it's changing the way that we think, the way that we behave, and therefore friendships are different. And it's even harder as an adult making friends because you're not consistently in the same spaces. I'll leave with that tip. If you are rebuilding your circle like me, show up to the same spaces over and over again, because that's how you're going to build uh, a relationship. You have to be in the same space repeatedly. That's how we made friends in school, in college, at work. Be in the same spaces repeatedly, and friends happen. So go ahead and make your friends, be friendly, be a nourished person with your relationship with yourself, because your relationship with others is definitely a reflection of your relationship with yourself. Stay golden.